All right, so welcome back. We are MDEV1001. That's mobile data management. I got someone coming in. Mobile data management in the summer 2023 semester at Georgian. And it's week 10, part 1 of our broadcast and recording. All right, let's do it. So this week, when we start off, we are week 10. My arrow is kind of between week 10 and 11. I don't know why. Today is a weird day when it comes to that stuff. But we're talking about MongoDB. Now, there was another thing in here. I have to tell you, working hard on the content, and I was going to do authentication with JWT and MongoDB today, and I was like, yeah, it's not going to happen, right? And I'll tell you why. Webhooks and triggers took a pile of my time to put together. And that's why I'm kind of veer away from doing authentication with JWT until next week. So a slight change in plan, but it is what it is. So, okay. Welcome, Tim, again. There he goes. Tim, he's online with us as well. So last week what we did was we talked about NoSQL databases again, and MongoDB specifically. UI for full CRUD is what we did, and we kind of put together full CRUD user interface with iOS. You guys are supposed to do the Android side. And what we're doing this week is we're going to do webhooks and triggers and talk about that. Stuff that's due. Assignment 3 is due this weekend, Sunday, July 23rd, right? And before we get into anything else, I want to talk about assignment 3. All right, so that way you're all clear on what to do. I'm just going to go into that on Blackboard here to show you where it is. So again, assignment 3 is a group assignment, so if you haven't had a chance to sign up, you need to do that now. I've also given the details for assignment 3 and release assignment 4 due date today. Again, it's due the very last day of class. That's August 18th at midnight. That's Friday, and that's a weird time, and I want to talk about that time as well after this. But first, let's talk about the details for assignment 3. All right, so here it is, whenever it decides to pull up. And you can see here, it's a standard assignment structure that we've seen before, where it's, I'm just going to zoom in here for you guys so you can see it a little bit. And let's talk about it. So again, UI for API data, it's due this weekend. It's what we talked about last time, so this is a bit of a review. Its value is only 5%, so not a huge assignment in terms of time. Remember, my motto is, if it takes you more than an hour per percent, it's too much time, right? So that's the way I'm looking at it. It should not take you and your team members, you and your other person that you're working with, 5 hours max, okay? And that would be like huge. That would be too much time, right there, for you to do this little assignment. But I'm giving you that time because, it's stuff that we've covered, and it kind of takes it a little further. So this is the one assignment so far. Assignment 1 and assignment 2 were pretty much exactly what we did in class. Assignment 3 is slightly different, only because we haven't done the OMDB, like API. We haven't looked into it, which means, oh my God, that means you have to actually look at it and kind of figure out the schema a little bit. But for the most part, it's almost identical, right? So now there's 2 parts to assignment 3. One of them is the movie search screen, right? So that's the first part. And the second part is the movie detail screen. So this is different than doing a full CRUD application, right? You can't use the exact same UI, right? Why? When you go on to movie database, let's take a look at that movie database for a second. Just one sec. So OMDB, right? And it actually is OMDB API. If you scroll down to what we see, and if you look at the examples here, let's say, for example, I put in something like Star Wars. If I'm searching for Star Wars movie, and if I click on search, then you're going to see potentially more than one. Oh, someone's got me on. Okay, that's good. You might see more than one, kind of movie that comes up that matches Star Wars as a title. Okay, so what that's going to do is when you pull up your app and you see Star Wars, you put in Star Wars, you'll see a bunch of stuff that populates, and I want that to populate in a list in the search screen. That's what's going to happen. The list is very similar to the list table view, recycler view that you decide to use. for this thing. So that's not different, right? So you're just going to populate the data. And then when you press on one of those movies, instead of you doing an edit, all you're going to do is the details on the next screen. That's it. Okay? It's really that simple. You're not modifying anything. The only trick and the challenge is how to navigate the API. How do you put that together in code in order for you to get what you want from the API? You also have to sign up for an API key, right? And at the top of the website here, there is a API key link where you can subscribe to the website for free. Again, it says there's 1,000 daily limit. That means 1,000 searches. So if you're using this for commercial purposes, well, maybe not a good idea, right? But if you're using it for a course like this, it's perfect. Okay, so that's not a big issue. So please get your API key. If you don't have your API key, we won't be able to, to do the searching through the API itself. The details for the API, how to use it, right, are really just on this website right here. So if you scroll down, it tells you usage. Here's the URI, right, where the API key is the second thing you put in there, and after the ampersand is where you put in all your commands, and here are all the parameters that you can put in and search for. I recommend trying to do this with something like Postman. Go with Postman, put a couple of things in there. We've talked about this before. Play around with it and see what kind of search results you're going to get. Now you're going to get some kind of JSON data, and you need to look at that data. I'm going to look at the data. From that data, what do I get back? Okay, so again, if I go back to what we did last time with Star Wars, and I'm just telling you this because it takes a little bit of thinking, not much, but a little bit. Notice you don't just get I'm just going to zoom in here, an array of strings. You get an object, that's what you get back, right? And your object is what you're getting back, an object of properties. That is different than an array of strings. Okay, so be aware of that. What I recommend when you do your research, because you're going to need a little bit of research, not much, just a little bit, ChatGPT, right? And you're going to put this in and say, here's an example of a movie that I got, right? Can you help me make the model, right? And then you're going to do some research, and once you've got that, it's going to help you put things out, and then all I'm looking for is, hey, how is this going to work? There are some areas here where you see an array of objects. You see that too. For example, it's not just objects, but there's an array of them. So I would take a look at this data and take a look at what it includes. It also includes stuff that is not the movie. For example, response is true. That is outside of the movie. There's going to be data that's extraneous to the movie data. So you need to kind of go through it, and I recommend looking at the data so that you understand what it's like. Now, there are some sites out there, like a JSON prettifier, that could help you kind of look and see what that data looks like, right? So let's say if I was going to search up here to do that, if I said something like, JSON, beautifier, there we go, a JSON beautifier. I'm just like thinking prettifier. I don't know, that's my own word, right? But if I look there and if I go to, something like code beautify, right? And if I put JSON data there and it's going to come up nicely over there, let's see what that looks like. So I'm going to go back to my OMDB, just showing you how to do this. I'm going to grab all this, I copy it, and go back to this random website that I went on. And then look, now you've got some much easier way of looking at the data compared to before. And this is what you need to start thinking about. Whenever we look at an API or anything like that, because we're getting data, take a look at the format. What do you need to do, right? And one of the arrays that you're going to see is this ratings array, right? It looks like there's a ratings array here that gives you the Internet Movie Database, Rotten Tomatoes, and Metacritic as an array of ratings. I only need one of them. You choose which one. Maybe you want to use, the Internet Movie Database format, which is out of 10, like we've been doing, right? Or maybe you want to use Rotten Tomatoes value out of 93, out of 100, right? You do whatever you feel like doing, okay? But that's kind of what I'm looking for. Take a look at some of this stuff. Now, there is some data in here that, maybe we don't need to look at, okay? And I'm just going to kind of close this up a little bit. Because look, there is an IMDb rating right here too, and a Metascore. So maybe what you can do is ignore the ratings object. You don't need to take that ratings object in play as well. I'm okay with that. Remember, I only need one rating. I need you to get the description, is what I said in the document, as well as the poster link. There's the poster link right there, right? You have all the data that you need. There's nothing that you have to look for. And really, when it comes to this, you can kind of get a really good understanding of what this thing is going to spit out for you. Okay, so notice it's an object though, okay? It's an object, it's not an array. Okay, let's go back to the PDF. So the first thing is, again, so that's what you're going to be doing. 2 screens, a movie search screen and a movie detail screen. Those are the 2 screens you're going to make for your app, like we talked about. You need an API key, like we talked about. And then think about the model that you're going to be creating that matches the data from the OMDB. There's got to be that. It's going to be another file that you're going to need. Here's the good thing. You can choose either iOS or Android. You choose your favorite, kind of platform. It's up to you. The only thing you cannot use is a hybrid platform like React Native or Flutter. Okay, you can't use those things. Why? I want this thing in native format. That's the challenge for this particular assignment. The rest is a breakdown of where the marks are, and you can see that 50 marks are around your movie search screen, 20 marks are movie detail screen, and 10 marks is your app aesthetically pleasing, which I always look at for, hey, is this nice looking? Did they think about how to put these things together, or did they just fire and forget? We don't want that. So there is version control. It's worth 10 marks. Please don't forget to do that. And please include me as a collaborator, like we talked before, at this email address. And then your video presentation wraps it up with the remaining 10 marks. There is no internal documentation requirement for this one. There is no external document where you have to kind of come up with a plan or whatever. That's because it's really kind of short and sweet. It's not so difficult. There is a bonus opportunity like the last one, which is if you feel so inclined and you want to get some bonus marks, 10 marks example, you can do it on both Android and iOS. But, don't make yourself crazy doing that stuff. And here's the other thing I want to tell you. I want to put up my hand here and talk about that, which is if you're doing it with a partner, because this little assignment, you can do it by yourself or with a partner. Maybe your partner can do one platform. This is just to get the extra marks, guys, right? Which is, I think, some of you need. And you can do the other one. So maybe one person will choose iOS, the other person do Android. You come back together, you talk about it. Now, in order for you to get the marks, the other requirements for at least one platform have to be met, and they should look identical. That's where the marks come, okay? If you do it on Android, but it looks completely different than iOS, that's not the exercise. Make it look as close as possible, okay, for you to get your marks. Any questions from the people online or from anyone in here about this assignment? I don't think it's anything we didn't expect. I don't know, Eric, we were talking about this for a while. What are your thoughts? Is it okay? Yeah. Indu? Yeah. Okay. Jason? No problem? Okay. Nikki? Everything okay? Okay. I don't know. Just joking. Yeah, she's like, yeah, good. How about the people online? I got Kosisa Chukwu, right? I haven't heard from you in a bit. And who else we got online? Evelyn.
Yeah, it's okay.
Okay, good. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to stop recording this one right here because I want you to be able to see just the assignment criteria in one kind of video again. And I'm going to make another video with the rest of the stuff we're doing today. So let's just stop recording this one.